Hi, Pierce.
Hello there, Seamus.
How are you today?
I'm pretty good. I've got another mug of tea here in front of me, so all is well.
Pretty standard.
Fairly standard.
Well, we're going to try and start off today by talking about social media, see where it leads us. I'm sure if you listen to any of these, you know that they don't go where they're meant to. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think the advantageous factors of social media are, Pierce?
I mean, there's virtually unlimited advantageous and disadvantageous factors involved with social media. I suppose well, one thing I find very interesting about social media is the business model behind it. So each different company has their own business models. Facebook seems to have the most successful one with the way they sell their advertisements, and obviously, as has come out recently, the way they just sell their users' data to whoever the highest bidder is. But I'm a bit unaware of how some other social media applications actually monetize themselves. Like I know Snapchat struggled for a long time with monetizing
Yeah,
themselves.
because it was free. But I think now Snapchat uses the subscriptions from different, like, the Daily Mail or Vice or whatever on there too. And I think there's ads between, the stories and stuff now. That's how Snapchat monetizes it. But Facebook's one is incredibly successful. I think, well, if we talk, there's advantages and disadvantages to social media, both like privacy wise and then like also on a personal level. So if you think about it, like obviously you can spend too much time on it. It obsesses you, like it twists your mind and stuff like that. If you want to go into that, but I think maybe we should just like that. Everybody kind of knows that.
Yeah.
Oh, don't go on social media too much. But the advertising really is where it gets interesting. Like the whole big scandal with the Cambridge Analytica came out there, and using that information and how our information gets used and the freedom of our information. You know, are we really willing participants of the information exchange, or is it just like we're being used by Facebook and Google and the likes?
Well, we're definitely being used, but it's like, well, one thing I'd like people to remember when they're talking about social media, I know obviously it's a big scandal that they were selling this information to Cambridge Analytica, and Cambridge Analytica were using it incorrectly, but I understand a lot of people after that were just pissed off generally about the fact that Facebook sells your user data, but you literally sign up for that when you sign up for Facebook. Like literally, you consent to that. It's in the terms and conditions. It's like, oh yes, I consent to you selling XYZ information to advertisers in order to keep the company afloat. So like, I understand people's concerns with it, but you did literally sign up for it. So it in some ways it is kind of your own fault. I know it's a bit obscure, but it is kind of on you for signing up for that.
Yeah, it's like drinking and then not expecting a hangover. It's like they didn't say I get a hangover on the bottle, like, but yeah, it's just a known thing. I think I think as well, like, so they say, like ad optimization, we want to get the best experience for you, and that's like if I just constantly googling like guitars or whatever, like then they'll give me an ad for a guitar, so they think that's helping me or whatever, which is probably better than me seeing My Little Pony ad. But it so that's good, right? But then you think about, so if they have that, then do they have your Google searches? Do they have your personal details, and why are they giving those out? Like, what is the extent to which they're giving them out? Like, so the Cambridge Analytica scandal was big because it was involved with the presidential election in the U.S. But obviously, like, no one's gonna care about like our data in that way. Like, no one's gonna be like, oh Jesus, the Taoiseach is gonna really sway the vote here if we get all the young people and put up ads for Fianna Fáil there. But I think it is, yeah. It's just what they know and how much they know is the scary thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm definitely. I'm not denying that it's not scary. It is kind of scary. All I was saying is that we literally signed up for it, so you know. But yeah, I think when people initially signed up to Facebook as well, they just weren't aware of exactly. I don't even think Facebook were aware of exactly, um, how far this would go when they originally made it. Like you think about Mark Zuckerberg, that was just a. It's been said before, but he was just a guy who wanted to make a social media app to pull people in college. Basically, that was kind of that was the whole point. And now suddenly, he's almost usurping Western democracy by accident with his app. Like I don't think anybody really expected this. It kind of evolved of its own accord.
Yeah, I suppose they're setting legal precedents as they go as well. Being like, well, how do we define that? What is the level of free speech online that we can accept? Like, we tolerate and stuff like that. They're like YouTube, especially. That was a big thing that just happened in YouTube. A lot of right wing videos and stuff got got flagged and don't get ad sponsorship anymore, so they're not monetized, which is crazy. You know, like free speech is free speech. Although you want to stop hateful speech, but how do you define it? You can't really just segregate a group of political ideologies and say that, well, that's not free speech, because you're not really listening to what they say.
Yeah. And who gets to define what hate speech is as well? You know, that's the eternal question, isn't it? Like, if you're dealing with things like hate speech, or other, you know, bigoted speech, whatever you want to call it, if you're trying to put parameters around free speech, then it's kind of like, oh, well, who gets to decide this? And obviously, God, that's been discussed to death on the internet, so I don't think we should do that here. But one interesting thing I'd like, if we to kind of connect the two topics there, it's interesting to see governments and judicial systems scrambling to actually legislate for social media and for the internet generally now. It's such
just failure to do so. Like,
yeah, well, it's the technology is evolving much more rapidly than any technology we've had before, and so governments are quite slow moving things by their nature, just because there's a lot of bureaucracy and they need to get everything right. They need to get the legislation exactly worded correctly, otherwise it can cause all sorts of problems. Kind of like what we're seeing now with the Eighth Amendment in Ireland. You know, it's just a not very well worded piece of legislation, so it's causing all these kind of issues. But with the with social media, they're having to do these really specific, really complex laws for this technology that is just changing every day. Like, there's a new thing every day coming at them.
Yeah.
I don't think governments are going to be able to keep up, and I think it's going to be interesting as technology keeps going. I suspect that government involvement in that area of life is going to start decreasing away, like, over the next few decades.
Facebook is the government.
I mean, you never know.
Okay, so if it shies away from it and shies away from the internet just because it's too complex, is that a failure on the legal system's part?
It's no individual or group's failure, right? I think it is just this. If you say it's the legal system failure, it really does mean that. It doesn't mean that it's an individual's failure within the system or a group of people within. It's the system itself is no longer able to function correctly with the social media technology or internet technology generally. Like, so if you think about it, a lot of our court systems and our judicial practices and our governmental systems were set up 100 years at least before any of this new technology came around. So even the way our elections work and stuff, it's quite slow. And you saw in the American election how Donald Trump was really the first presidential candidate to really effectively make use of the internet in his election campaign, and that probably got him the election.
Yeah.
And none of the other candidates were ready for it, and the election system itself wasn't ready for it, because he was just able to influence so many people so cheaply. That was the big thing. So I guess we're just going to have to come in line with that. Like, well, but what I was talking about earlier when I was saying I don't think governments are going to shy away from it. I just think they're going to lose pace with it. You know, they're going to keep trying to legislate and keep trying to keep up, and maintain pace and trying to establish legal precedents around social media and the internet. But I just think there's going to be too much content there for them to be able to process effectively.
That's interesting that you think they'll keep trying, because I think you said originally there that they just wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, but I think just by the nature of the thing, they'll keep going, you know.
Which is interesting, because what they do then, which is what they probably would do, is do really sweeping laws that, like, would very much affect it, and, like, they just try and do that as a control measure to stop the uncontrollable growth of, like, X bad variable that's happening on the internet, you know. So that might really affect what the internet is and how we view it, just because of their lack of understanding for it. Because as it grows and becomes more complex, legal precedents might actually just destroy progress if they really do be like, okay, well, no one that does this can act on that anymore, whatever specific thing it is. And then that might mean that, okay, well, 60% of what it was going on was bad, but 40% of it could be groundbreaking, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the whole thing about anonymity on the internet and stuff like that, like, trying to very much crack down on that. They don't like anonymity on the internet, because they always want it to be traceable. But as the world progresses and anonymity becomes a much bigger factor, like, you can't control that. And even still, so say if they do strike legal, like laws into place, how could you find the people if they really are trying to be completely anonymous, just wasting resources after resources, like, and taking them from ground resources while I suppose it'll all just become intermixed, and the crime will be online too. I suppose. But
Yeah. Well, the thing with the big sweeping laws that you're talking about there is I just don't think they work, because when you make a big sweeping law, there's always a loophole. You know, there's always a way around it. There's always some way to usurp that law, get it done a different way. So they can. I can definitely see them. I think they have tried to, especially in the US, they have tried to make big sweeping laws. It was that I can't even remember the name of the act now. It was like the Stop Online Piracy Act, SOPA or something like that. It was but it was pretty sweeping. And it was gonna and net neutrality, all that jazz. So it was gonna really crack down on the internet. But none of it seems to work, because first of all, usually people get really mad about it and it gets voted out of Congress. But even if it does go through, there's always a loophole. Like, the technology is too malleable. You can say, okay, you can no longer do things this way on the internet, and then somebody just be like, okay, well, we'll do it this way instead, and it'll just work. You know.
yeah,
Like in China, they try to keep a hold of the internet, and it just doesn't work. It's too many loopholes.
yeah. It's open source by
Yeah.
by definition.
By its
You
nature,
can't control it. But that's really interesting. You know, like a lot of the people in government. What age is Trump? I'd say is like.
He's the oldest
He
president.
was 70?
72 or something like that.
72. Like when he was knocking around, like the concept of the internet didn't even exist. Like, well, maybe it did in some science fiction books. And then the senators, and even in Ireland, like a lot of the government is a lot older. Like, so the fact that they don't have full grips of the issue they're trying to tackle, that makes it more dangerous as well. So they'll see it as a different thing. They'll see it as dangerous rather than having potential. Especially like new innovations or whatever. Like, you can see it so often. It's like, well, I don't want any of that. No, why would I be on that Snapchat there? No, you know, all this like kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that's a smaller example. But like, if you get into like bigger ones where like, you know, cryptocurrencies or, you know, anonymous kind of like ordering websites or whatever, like that kind of stuff. If that became a bigger thing, then they'd be like, oh well, like all they could see are the dangers, you know, rather than the positives.
And you can see what there definitely are dangers, especially
Obviously,
especially for things where you can anonymously buy stuff online, because there's
Yeah.
a whole world of stuff on the dark web. I'm sure that you can just get into illicit substances, even weapons. I think you can probably buy. I think I saw some Vice documentary on Germany where they bought weapons on the dark web, and it just worked. But
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
I did have a point that I
Get a better
that I've
postal system.
since lost. Oh man, I think your man delivered it like hand.
Oh,
he just
hand
came
delivered
along
it.
with a battle pad. He was like, there's your weapon.
Here's your RPG. Just take care of that, yeah.
Oh well, I mean, you can buy plutonium detonators in Bulgaria, so
Oh,
off a property developer.
stop.
There you go. But yeah, in terms, and also one problem I see with it is so the only experts in this field all work for the big social media companies, right? So the government just brings in some expert on social media or on any kind of website. Oh, can you show us how we can tackle this? Well, he's just going to be biased towards his own company, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they'll just be like, oh yeah, but they can entirely corrupt the system. So it's kind of the same with hacking. The way, say, the NSA in America just can't keep up with the freelance hackers, just because they're so far ahead. All the best hackers in the world are just kind of these cretins living in basements, right? That's all they do. And the NSA guys, they actually have lives and they have jobs and wives and kids and stuff that they have to worry about. But these hackers are just leagues ahead of them. So it's the same thing with the with the computer companies. The government could have whatever expert they want. There's going to be some guy in a company that's earning much more than a government employee that's going to just be much better and able to like figure loopholes, ways around.
But like, see, what the sweeping laws and stuff that I was talking about, they really apply to hackers. That's where I think they just decided, okay, you know, well, what can we do if we find someone that's hacking? Let's just really punish them, years in prison and stuff like that.
Oh, they absolutely ream them.
Yeah, and like, is that fair if they're like a 12-year-old kid who gets swept up and wants to take down the page of like Westboro Baptist Church for the crack with all the other anonymous boys, like gets an application online. It's very easy. You can just download an application online, or not an application. Yeah, like
Yeah,
a computer application.
Like, yeah, you can DDoS people. Just
Exactly.
Yeah.
What was it? Low orbit ion blaster or something like that.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I literally think so. And then just like basically send what the like most primary source of hacking is, like they just, when you log onto a website, obviously you're using a little bit of traffic of the website, but they try and crash that by simulating thousands and thousands of people on the website, and then the server can't handle it and it crashes. That's the primary way to do it, and you get loads of people do this at the same time. And they use this application and so on and so forth. So kids in America doing like 5 years for this stuff, you know, like
It's rough.
okay, like I can see how it's bad, and they might try and take down stuff in the future, but you can't like that's not going to stop it. It's just going to outrage the community more. Like
They're also clearly talented kids a lot of the time, you know, and I feel like you're just I know I did, like, okay, obviously you can't discriminate between talented and untalented kids because that's kind of unfair, but it's just like you're kind of this kid clearly has potential and you're just locking him up in juvie or whatever for 5 years and he's just completely wasted. When he comes out, he's not going to want to do anything with intellectual life, more than likely, you know. Whereas if you just kind of punish them a little bit, it's like, all right, don't do that next time, whatever. Slap a fine on his parents so they give him shit about it for 2 years.
is that the right way to do it? I don't know. Like, you know,
Who knows? It's so hard. It's so hard because like there's never before been a time when like a 12-year-old kid can do so much damage to a company, say, right?
Yeah,
You can DDoS
exactly.
a company and just completely destroy their sales for an entire day, and it could just literally be some 12-year-old kid on his dad's
Millions.
computer.
But yeah, they're not doing any physical damage.
No.
So that's
no.
where.
Unless you consider electrons physical.
Yeah. Okay. First.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go back to it.
Yeah.
But like, you know, that's where our laws are kind of draconian. Like when they don't really. They have to make. I think there needs to be a separate thing, like almost a completely separate set of laws. You know, you're not doing physical damage. You're not stealing someone's actual property. Like if you take cryptocurrencies off someone, if you hack cryptocurrencies off someone, like that doesn't mean anything there. Like I could do that if I was a good hacker. I could hack your cryptocurrencies, and that wouldn't be a breaking the law. That's fine, but that's tangible currency because you can trade it as such. You know what I mean? But the government doesn't treat it as that. Yeah, you know. It's interesting.
It is. It's weird, but yeah, I think just the general sense there is that society is generally a slow moving beast, and it's going to have trouble keeping up with all the little developments, especially since it's so dispersed. You know, it's not some centralized platform that's spitting out all of these inventions, and the society's consuming them. It's just coming from all directions. There's new technology from everywhere every day.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for any kind of central planning to maintain it. Like it's even hard for central planning. Like that's why the communist states failed, because central planning is hard to do in an economy. So it's probably even harder to do with the internet. Do you feel?
I do. I feel like the companies as well, like the Google and Facebook and all that. The Google.
Big Google.
Man, Google bought, what was it? They bought
they bought all of the military robotics
that's
companies
what
in
it was.
America, and also started their own artificial intelligence company at the same time.
It
Kind
was
of terrifying,
within the
right?
same week. they
Oh,
bought
straight
them.
away, yeah.
It's like, let's just do it really quickly so no one notices. Don't worry about that. Like,
I think they've actually since sold all of the military robotics companies.
really?
Yeah, I think so. I think they sold Boston Dynamics anyway, which is the big one.
They just wanted the technology. They just wanted
We have,
the patents.
gentlemen,
They're like, all right,
we have the
them now.
technology.
And now they can just do whatever they want. But they're just going to get bigger and like more broad, and then it's just going to become like, what's it, Wayne Corp or whatever.
Oh, Wayland Yutani and
Yeah.
and Alien. Yeah, well, it's mad to think these tech companies like Google, like Samsung, like Apple, what's Apple? It's not even. It's like 860 billion now. Apple is worth. Jesus Christ, that is how many times is that worth Ireland's GDP? That is like 3 times Ireland's gross domestic product that Apple is worth.
It's a country.
What the fuck?
Fruit is a country. Like
Jesus Christ. A bitten fruit is a country.
a bit.
A bitten
It's not
fruit.
even
Yeah,
a
it's not
full
even a
fruit.
full apple. But yeah, it's mad to think those kind of, and that's such power. It's not hard power, it's not like military power, but it's soft power. It's power to influence people. It's power to, I mean, it really does influence people. Think about it. Think about what a social status the iPhone holds now.
But
or any Apple
think
products.
about like what they did to the Irish government there. They're like, all right, so for years, what was it, 10 years they didn't pay their taxes?
Yeah, it's like
and then it was
6
like,
billion.
and then the EU was like, here lads, I'm just doing this audit here, and I found out that they didn't pay their taxes for 10 years, and they're like, don't worry about that, and then they're like, you're gonna have to pay it, like, and they're like, oh no, they don't have to pay it, but that's gonna be literally like 13 billion for your economy. No, it wasn't 13 billion, like,
Yeah.
was it? Wait, no,
Oh,
it
it was
huge,
in the
wasn't it?
billions. Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
13 billion or something
It was
like
like,
that.
but Ireland will get this. Like, no, I don't want to do it. Don't want to upset Apple. Please don't. And they're
'Cause
like,
they just pull out.
They begged for Apple not to get it, and like they still had to do it.
Well, Apple could just pull out and just be like, oh, see you kids, straight to Switzerland.
Well, Ireland, you didn't do well enough.
We still are the country with the lowest corporation tax in Europe, and I think we should strive our best to keep that there, because that's really keeping us afloat.
Yeah, definitely for the tech companies. That's all they want.
Yeah, for
And,
sure.
Like, I suppose the Irish graduates and stuff as well, but yeah, that the sway that the companies have is scary.
One-
They could buy a medium-sized African country, like they could buy it.
Just purchase it.
They can purchase
Yeah,
it. Go over
they
there,
could definitely
yeah.
buy all the politicians for sure.
Oh
Bribe
no,
all
I
of them,
mean like
yeah.
like if they.
Oh, just the land. Yeah, the
for
land.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, if they
oh
paid
God,
off
yeah.
their debts and like here, listen, that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good God.
Can I be equivalent of whoever succeeded Steve Jobs? Can they be ruler of the country now? Yeah, sure.
Well, so some of the moves Amazon are making are scary. It's just like Amazon are trying to move into every corner of the economy pretty much. You know, they're making brick and mortar stores. They're going to start building drones. They've moved. Obviously, they're kings of the online distribution network. Only AliExpress is really challenging them now, and even AliExpress isn't that much of a challenge. But yeah, Amazon is also only turned a profit for the first time, like last year, I think, or the year before.
Which I didn't really get. How can you be a company for that long and be that have so much traffic and not turn a profit?
Just because they kept pouring money back into the company, I think, and the investors were waiting for like the long term payoff.
Okay.
I think, but also Jeff Bezos just holds so many shares, so it's kind of just a lot of it is just him propping it up, but yeah, Amazon's a crazy one because I actually forget all the things so it started off as a book selling website,
yeah,
right?
Literally, yeah.
And now it sells everything. It's producing its own TV series with the crew from Top Gear as well, and like loads of other really high quality TV series. Not even television series anymore. They just call them series now. What do you call them?
I don't know. Programs.
Yeah, media series, fictional media series. I don't know. But then they're making brick and mortar stores in the US. Watch this. This is the next one. I bet you that he's going to have his own airline soon. He'll definitely have his own
airline.
He'll definitely have his own. I think they do have their own cargo airline. Actually, did they? Amazon Air.
Maybe
they might do. Yeah, but if he doesn't, he's going to have that soon. And I can see him having like a low cost airline too.
Are they trying to do self-driving cars as well?
Oh, probably. Yeah, I know Google. I know Google. No, Amazon. That's like a subscription service or something. They have.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Google are doing self-driving cars, so I can see Amazon do it. Oh yeah, and also Jeff Bezos just has his own rocket company as well. That's the guy. So Jeff Bezos is the guy who owns Amazon, by the way. But so that's not part of Amazon, but he just has his own rocket company. So you can see them merging. Imagine Amazon rockets. Oh, how are you going to get the astronauts to the moon there? We're going to take the Amazon rocket.
Jesus. No, I want rocket prices to go into the ground. I want all the rocket companies to just rival it off.
Oh, that's the way they're going.
Are you going SpaceX? No, I'm going.
Musk and Bezos are
Blue Origin, isn't it? Yeah.
Blue Origin and SpaceX are just beating the crap out of each other. I mean, SpaceX is definitely winning for now, but I feel like Blue Origin has more capital behind it. So,
yeah,
Space
Race 2020.
Oh man.
Russia, China, America, SpaceX, Amazon.
That's the other thing. It's highly likely that a corporation could get us to Mars before a country. That'll be scary if a company gets us there. I mean, it'll be wonderful in a way because it'll show how far just economic progress has come. But also, it's just like, oh wow, it's just a private individuals who are doing it.
Yeah, what kind of impact will that have on the psyche of Earth? It's America claimed the moon first. They put it on the American flag. It's great. It's one small step for man. It gets to Mars. It's like, check out our website. There we go. Just plants an Amazon flag. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, the flag plants on Mars. It's just a SpaceX Tesla flag.
Subscription each month. Yeah, exactly.
I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, the flag is just the SpaceX symbol. Oh, weird, right? Now, obviously, they are getting some government subsidies and stuff like that, and a lot of their commercial contracts would be with governments.
Yeah, like SpaceX is. SpaceX is contracted by NASA to bring the fuel up to
I'm sure. I think
the International Space Station.
I think Blue Origin is as well. They're making new. Well, so Blue Origin are making engines for a company that's contracted by NASA, and that company will be using the engines for their rockets for NASA. So in a way, governments are still the big contractors of space for now. It's just because we have no infrastructure up there. We have to. That is the thing. Governments will have to build infrastructure up there first, and then you'll be able to kind of privatize it.
But the state of NASA at the moment, in the fact that it's so far behind SpaceX and stuff like that.
Well, they should just stop making rockets, man.
Yeah,
I know
buy them off.
We want to get into rockets a different day, so I'll cover it a different time. But NASA are manufacturing their own rocket space launch system at the moment, and they should just. I mean, they're halfway through manufacturing now, so they might as well finish it because it would waste resources if they stopped. But after that, I don't think NASA should make rockets anymore because it's just more efficient for the companies to make it, to get other companies to compete and build the rockets for them.
Exactly.
I mean, that's always kind of the way they did it anyway with Rocketdyne, but they were much more involved back then. It was almost like a semi-state body, but now they should just let the private corporations scrap for it.
American astronauts go up with Russian astronauts.
Yeah,
the
ever since
cosmonauts.
the space shuttle.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, what's the difference? Like, it would almost even be better if they were going with a private company. 'Cause
No,
then there's no
they do
international.
they do think it. What they wanted it to be an American company to do it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we'll get into rockets a different day because I have a lot to say about that topic. So.
Back onto social media, I suppose. There.
Oh, just back onto tech generally. I think how tech is changing the world really.
Mm.
It's a little bit of a broad topic.
Oh, there's lots to talk about that. I think so. I found out something as well. If we just want to continue with the privacy, I think is a good place to pick up. So about the information sharing, that's a real big thing that scares me. Like for instance, like hello Google and so on. You can say stuff. That records for 10 seconds after you finish like saying something to Google.
I didn't know that.
It's to say that it has those in a bank in the cloud, and whatever it does with them is whatever it does. It's meant to like so it can understand your voice better and things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, like I'll get a better match for the voice next time.
Oh, so you can learn your commands. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like maybe an hour of God knows what you just said on the in the cloud, like, and like I know this is the thing that it's not readily accessible. Like I couldn't just go in and check that out, but someone could.
Yeah, some software engineer definitely could for sure. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about welcoming that kind of thing into my house. Just Amazon Alexa, Google, whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know I'm not sure how I feel about that yet. If it could be a closed system, but it couldn't really be a closed system.
No, but
it has to be connected to the internet.
Even if you've ever watched like Snowden or read anything about that sort of stuff, like the government can go into your camera and your phone or your laptop whenever they want, supposedly.
If it's connected to the internet.
Yeah, if it's connected to the internet, supposedly, but I think you just kind of have to be happily ignorant about it.
Yeah, it's accepted.
It'd be like, well, listen, like any X organization could be doing this, but let's just hope they don't care enough about me. Really. Like, to be fair, okay, someone knows where I've been, like, okay, went to DCU, went back, went to work. Okay, what are they gonna do with that information? That's why I always say like I'm not interesting enough to do the thing, but like maybe then they'll be like, oh, there's an advertisement for a bike. You seem to be walking lots of places. Like,
well, I know for sure I'll never be able to run for political office just because of social media now. The amount of stuff that's stored there that I think it'd be very hard for people to be popular in the public eye if like it ever becomes easy to go through somebody's like private social media interactions.
Yeah, like
just because you'll always be able to find something on somebody just screw them with.
You just get your mindset and like you can be taken out of context so very easily. If some chatting in some cretinous friend group, you know what I mean, like a group chat online, and you just like you're just chatting absolute crap, and then that comes up and you're like and then like years later someone hacks your Facebook and they're like, oh my god, Pierce said this absolutely disgusting,
disgraceful.
Yeah, but it would just be taken completely out of context and whatever. That's weird enough as well, isn't it though? Like it was letters back in the day for
if somebody got caught with a dodgy letter.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, look at the letter that so and so sent me, and and then that would ruin their political career, or just finding out they had an affair or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, Charles Stewart Parnell just got screwed by that.
Yeah, he wasn't even having an affair though.
Yeah, well,
no, the woman, he was like, he asked her to marry him, but she was already married. But the husband had left.
Who he was good friends with actually as well.
No, he wasn't. Oh, he had left for like 7 years and didn't come back. And he said he wouldn't get a divorce either. And Charles Stewart Parnell like had, like I think kids with this woman and everything, and they were madly in love and everything like that. And then they're like,
just got found out.
Yeah, well, it was a trial. He's like, you've been adultering my wife. He's like, man, come on.
I'm about to unite Ireland here. Come on.
Where you been?
Different times.
That was actually really interesting because then he got really bad public opinion.
And then died a few years later.
He died. He got to stay with her though, and at his funeral, they traced it back in the timeline of cosmology, and there was like a load of poets and writers and stuff like that said like there was a massive flash in the sky, and like stuff like that. People came to protest his being buried, in Glasnevin Cemetery, and a big flash in the sky, and it actually was. It was like I forget the name of the specific like it was like a meteor that exploded, made of ice, and it made a huge red flash in the sky. And they were able to track that back as well.
Oh wow.
And so then they thought that was a sign from God that he was good again. So like apparently for the next 10 years or so, something like that. What was it like? It wasn't. It was Ivy Day, I think they called it, because there was ivy on all the walls of the cemetery.
Yeah,
so they
yeah,
picked that off. They said that was celebrating more than St. Patrick's Day, which is really interesting.
Wow. Yeah, well, man, it's Parnell's political clout was something else entirely. Like apparently, even so, obviously, like Collins and De Valera managed to lead the country to independence or whatever. But apparently, they would talk to the old kind of veterans, I guess you'd call them, of people who were in Charles Stuart Parnell's campaign, and just nobody compared to him. Apparently, he was just one of those magnetic personalities that comes around once a century. You know.
Yeah.
Just a very dynamic leader. They just got screwed by an affair, basically. Pity, really.
Well,
the uncrowned king.
Different time, Pierce.
Yeah.
Different time.
I'm gonna judge them. I'll judge them, just as they judged him.
Okay.
Stadium.
He's actually buried on top of a mass grave.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Actually,
yeah, his gravestone is just like a big boulder.
Yeah,
with, like,
I think I've seen it. I think
yeah,
it's a
cool enough
of it.
actually.
Cool
Well,
enough,
that was a segue and a half.
Listen, we're talking about politics and social media. We just a bit of a throwback there to the olden days
Yes,
of politics.
Charles Stewart Parnell. Look him up if you don't know him.
The classics. Oh,
Nice-
you
nice
should know
guy.
him. You know what annoys me? If so somebody might consider themselves an Irish patriot and they just not know who Parnell is. They just know, oh, Collins, oh, De
Calm
Valera.
down, Pierce.
Oh, and it's just, they don't know who Parnell is. I mean, I don't consider myself a patriot really, so look.
You're not a patriot now.
I
You
don't,
don't
well,
like Ireland.
maybe a
Pierce
patriot.
hates Ireland.
Maybe a patriot. I don't know. I don't think I call myself a nationalist though. You know, there's a little bit of distinction there between patriot and nationalism.
Yeah, I suppose you can be. Wait, so you call yourself a patriot, but not a.
Yeah, because I think I think a patriot would like. So I think a nationalist is just on the side of Ireland no matter what, whereas a patriot is like, I want Ireland to succeed, but I've no problem in criticizing where it's doing badly.
Okay, fair enough. But like, yeah, okay,
You see what I mean? Where a nationalist is that's just kind of like just you stick by it no matter what.
I think a lot of people in America and stuff then will have to redefine themselves.
As nationalists rather than patriots.
Well, either way, like, you know.
In Russia too, I'm sure. Probably in Britain. I'd imagine in Germany, France. Probably here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's everybody, you know. Like, society isn't without critiques. Like, if you're not willing to critique your society, then you're living.
Yeah.
You're either living in the perfect world, which is.
Well, it just goes back to
Okay,
tribalism, you know. We're so geared towards it that it's such a natural thing for us to slip into tribalistic thought that you really have to.
It's mine.
Yeah.
I'm from born is the best place ever, obviously.
This patch of dirt best. But like I do think you kind of have to take that into consideration when you're thinking about things. You know, yeah, it's fine to be proud of your country and everything, but just remember, like, it's complete coincidence that you were born there. You know, just like don't let your tribalism overcome your logic, I suppose.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that I suppose you can't have like romantic affiliation with it, and that you don't think it's one of the best places to live, because.
Well, it's your ancestry, right? So your ancestors have lived there for so long.
Not even just ancestors, just like you. If you've lived in Ireland your entire life, your ancestors could be from anywhere.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
And you've grown up with it, like, that's just what you're used to. It's what your mind fits into all the patterns. You move to, like, I don't know, Swaziland or East Swahili, or anywhere, then even somewhere that was English speaking, again, you'd just be, like, you could always find it really nice, but, like, you'd want to have a really detached, like, a really, like, open-minded, detached worldview to be like, okay, you know, I think this is better than where I'm from.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, oh, well.
Well, I think that's the original American dream, isn't it? You go there and you just make a better thing for yourself. That was the whole point of America originally. But it's different now because it's an old state in of itself that it has kind of its own established culture and everything. Whereas like the original idea was just the same cultures but improved, or maybe just entirely different. But no. I mean, there's nothing wrong with patriotism. I think it's just, as I said, everybody's naturally inclined towards it. Just make sure you clamp a bit of logic on it. There you go.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I think nationalism and patriotism get like poo-pooed a lot as well.
They get a bad rap these days, yeah.
Which I don't know. Like, I think you should be proud of where you're from and who you are as well. Like, I think good pride in that is like good pride in yourself, because you know, if you're Irish, even Irish identity and stuff like that, like, it's nice. It does tell you a lot about who you are.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you necessarily should be proud. Like, you shouldn't have to be proud of it. But like, if you are, there's nothing wrong with being proud of it, you know.
But internal pride, like,
Oh yeah,
you shouldn't
yeah.
reject it and be like, well,
No, unless you have fundamental conflicting beliefs with like the foundation of how your society, your culture is set up, right?
it's true.
So like say, I don't know. I'd have to think
But
about
it's
this for a
no, but
minute.
it's like saying like, I don't like Ireland because it was like set up on fundamentally Catholic beliefs or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Or like I didn't believe like in Brehon law where like you get to sell cows
yeah.
like for
Yeah.
wives or whatever, you know, like, but you're just surrounded by it, so you can't completely reject it. You can't say that it's not part of you. Obviously, it is. Like, you've grown up with certain views, certain morals. You can't relearn your entire life. Like, that'd take a lifetime to do. It's like, so even
yeah.
the music or the food or anything or the scenery or what you perceive to be nice or beautiful or bad, like, all of these things are going to take, like, I don't know,
Yeah,
you'd
yeah.
have to completely remove yourself.
Yeah, man, I think I slightly disagree with you there. I think it is possible to just reject your country of origin, but like, or you're like, especially if it's, and the longer you've lived there, the harder it is to do, right? But because the more it's informed your personality and your beliefs. But I think it is possible, but it would take, to do it properly, it would take a great deal of thought and consideration. Like, I'm not convinced it would take a lifetime, especially if like say you're somebody who grew up in, I don't know what's around, France, right? You grew up in France and like you just really disagree with French culture.
Okay.
You've gone through, you're in your mid-20s and you've decided, okay, I've looking around at me and I just really fundamentally disagree with French culture, and actually instead I agree with,
Hate baguettes.
yeah, despise baguettes.
Brie is bad.
Yeah, but I really like German culture, say, right?
Yeah,
So
okay.
you're just like, okay, I really like German culture, and you want to culturally say convert to German or whatever. Like, I don't even know how you'd go about that. I suppose the easier one is American, like, because that's not an ethnicity, that's just a culture, the
Yeah.
American culture. So you really like American culture. Like, I think you can consciously reject the principles that underline France, and then accept the principles that underline America, but you see what I mean? But like I don't think it would.
But you can't
take
reject
an entire
it.
life.
You can't reject everything. Firstly, you're gonna have your accent.
No, yeah, no, yeah, no. So it's definitely like there's going to be some parts of you that will always be French, but I think
That's what I mean.
You can
That's
reject the underlying principles, you know, like the base foundations of France, the construct of France, and then replace them with the base foundations of the construct of America. I think you can do.
I
that.
don't know. I don't know about that. Like, so even like, okay, if we don't talk about the constructs just for a second, we say like, all right, you know, you grew up in Ireland, so like, you like different like teas, okay?
Mhm.
So say like you like Barry's tea best,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Then you move to Japan, right? And they don't have tea like that. Like, you can get it, but like it's not the same, right? You have to be completely open minded and objectively try every single tea and like see which one do you prefer, right? And then you're probably still gonna end up at Barry's because that's what you're used to, right?
Yeah.
So if you can't, no, you just can't. If you're French and you're like, okay, I hate that. I hate like the way our whole society is based on like this really bloody revolution, and I don't like the way it's like so secular
French
and everything like
philosophy,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
whatever
okay, yeah.
it is, and you go over. Like, there's more pieces of you that you'd have to take out that you don't even know are there. Than
Yeah, yeah.
So I think there'd be always pieces left behind.
Oh yeah, but what I'm saying is like just the base principles of the country, like the foundational things, like. But also, do you not think so? Just if just use tea as an easy example, like, okay, I moved to Japan. It's perfectly possible that I find a drink that I just like more than tea and replace. So I'd usually drink tea in this case, and now I drink this thing instead from Japan. You know, it's perfectly possible to replace that.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, there's always going to be parts of you from whatever country or a nation or family you come from, right? But that's just, I still think you like, it's very possible that by the end of your life, if you moved from France to America, you could be aligned more with American culture than French culture, because we're not even purely Irish here, right? The culture we have isn't Irish; it's Western now, because it's been just influenced so much by America. I mean, if I look around the room, I mean, there's a bottle of like there's some fizzy drinks and stuff over there. That's American culture. That is literally American culture. A fizzy drink that's American culture.
But okay,
So you're not pure
there's,
Irish.
There's cultural amalgamation though, like, so
Yeah, yeah.
you're saying like, oh well, we just can't live in Cranogs like that. That's like the bricks. That's English culture.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it is,
Like,
yeah.
you can't say that. You can't say like the lineage of it. Like, just because I live in Ireland doesn't mean I can't like green tea.
Mhm.
If we're in Ireland, we can't like tea at all then,
Yeah, yeah.
because it comes from India, or well, China or wherever it's grown. But like, it's part of our culture because it's been there since we grew up in it.
Yeah.
Like it's whatever we grew up in. That's what I'm saying. Like even if it was only a like my granny said like oh bananas, like I remember seeing the first time bananas in a shop, but like we grew up and bananas were like a fruit that we eat, and like that's then part of our culture because you can buy them in every shop, right? Even though they're not traditionally part of our culture, right?
Same as potatoes.
Same as potatoes, yeah, Jesus. But that doesn't mean that like I don't know why you have to remove yourself from the country to, like I think. It's just like an easier subset to just jump into. It's like to define yourself as everything American or whatever. Like whereas you could just have an open minded view on the world and then just choose your own ones and pick and choose from best ones. Because if you're in America, right, and you want to be American and you just don't agree with like a specific thing, or like even say like you're an American but you like you don't really align with the two big parties and you want to go for like a third party thing. Are you really American then? Are you part of that culture?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, see, America's such a complex one as well.
Yeah,
It's such a melting pot of a culture, you know. America really is the exception to the rule as far as how countries operate.
A good example goes. Of this.
Yeah, great example. But it was a good example for because like, you know, obviously it's hard to integrate into Germany or whatever. But yeah, no man.
You can't purge yourself, is what I'm saying. Like you always have.
No, you have artifacts, but like you definitely have cultural artifacts. But what I'm saying is we right now have cultural American artifacts. We've like because even the media we consume is American, right?
Yeah.
So that's an American cultural artifact. YouTube is American, and so we have that in us, but that doesn't make us not Irish. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is you could be more American but still have those French cultural artifacts. See what I'm saying?
I do, but I just don't see the point in it. I do, but like, yeah, why would you have to purge yourself from France? Like, I don't understand.
No, you wouldn't have to. Just if somebody, I'm not saying you have to. It's just if somebody like just actually finds fundamental disagreements with the way France operates, and they're just like, okay, I want to reject this.
Yeah, well, I think my thing.
It has to be somebody who's very political.
Yeah.
You know.
I think my thing then is like, so you reject the way France operates. But why reject France? Because surely if you're saying that all the societies could change, like we get American media over here and like fizzy drinks or whatever, why can't France change too? Why do you have to neglect the country then? You know, you could try and change it yourself, or you could just be happy and not believe the things that France has. But understand that it's just a place, and like you like some of the things, and it is part of you. Don't reject it. Just like understand that they're not your beliefs, rather than, you know, rejecting the country.
It's funny because that's a very French worldview that you're actually espousing there.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, it's very French philosophy. But yeah. So I guess it comes down to like if you. So, do you think that France has underlying principles that makes it France, or is it like an amorphous blob that you can just kind of?
Well, you'd hope a society that you live in could be changed.
Yeah, but can the fundamental parts of like can what makes France the deepest roots of France, can that really be changed? Like outside of bloody revolution, you know, like can the like the social contract, all of that stuff, all that French philosophy from the Republican era onwards, like unless you were just to entirely change it and make it a new country, like a new, like a new, it could be a dictatorship or something, but like can you change it? And if you change it that much, is it still the same country?
But like you also have to realize that like your personal beliefs, whatever they are, might not exist in a specific country in the world, and you have to be happy with finding yourself in any country.
Oh, for sure.
And just having the beliefs that you have.
It's probably most people. I mean, nobody's going to align with every country, you know.
Like it's like if you vote for a government party or whatever, but they don't get in, does that mean like, as you said, your vote doesn't count? No, you still had your say, you know.
Yeah.
You're still part of that country, even though you don't agree with the party that got in.
Yeah.
Like, so therefore you're in a country that you don't agree with the way it's run politically because you didn't vote for them. But you still have to do it. It's a place to live, like.
Yeah.
You know, you still might like Brie, like.
Fair enough, yeah. Well, I think what we're talking about all comes down to how you define different things, like how do you define citizenship, how do you define ethnicity, how do you define a country itself, and like the answers to the like discussion we're having now are entirely dependent on how you define those things.
True.
Right? Like, so imagine if somebody defined Ireland as a Catholic country and then one day Ireland becomes majority non-Catholic, is it still, in their eyes, would it still even be Irish? If they think Catholicism,
exactly, yeah.
If they think Catholicism is a fundamental part of being Irish, And if most Irish people no longer are Catholic, would they even consider them to be Irish anymore?
I think that's a more complex question, because I would have to change its laws to, like,
Yeah.
belief is belief. Like, if people change, that doesn't mean that the foundation of it changes.
Yeah, for sure. And also,
so if the laws are based on Catholic beliefs, like,
Yeah.
thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal,
And
it goes back to
it gets really weird there, because
beliefs.
when you're talking about religions, so those religions' beliefs are based off of other religions' beliefs who came before them, which are based off other religions' beliefs who came before them. Like, a lot of the modern religions we have today are amalgamations of older religions. So Roman Catholicism gets a lot of its celebration dates and stuff from, like, Roman paganism, which was there beforehand.
Yeah.
So it's even some of its laws are probably from there, and obviously we have Breton law that kind of affected us as well. But yeah, it's as far as so that's a weird little thing there, I suppose, about how if you're gonna, I don't know, I don't even know where I was going with that, but you see what I'm saying.
I do see what you mean. So it's like, if you, like, get rid of all the Catholic laws, you're really just getting rid of human laws, because they
These really
existed
old
forever.
laws that have been there a long time.
I suppose.
So I don't think you can claim them exclusively as, like, so what you're saying is, like, say what we would consider modern secular values.
Yeah.
Like, you can't claim them as just exclusively modern secular values because they come from Catholicism originally, or say Christianity originally. So a lot of the base foundation will come from the golden rule saying Christianity, treat your neighbours and treat yourself, that stuff.
But that's what you were saying. Your point was
that comes from other spiritualities and religions that came beforehand, which came from other ones again,
Yeah, even before that, you said that, like, what if a country changes its beliefs, the people's beliefs, does that change its things? But I suppose then, no, you can almost redefine everything. It's like, well, the country isn't Catholic, then it's, neo-paganistic. Like,
yeah.
But that's just a definitional thing. Like, I don't think that should be argued.
Yeah.
I think the beliefs, no matter which religion they come from, still come from the religion. No matter how far you want to trace it back. So, whether people identify with it or not doesn't really matter. The beliefs are still there.
Yeah.
So it will have an effect on society, regardless of what religion it's from.
So an interesting one in this case is actually, if we go back to France, so the French Revolution was actually, kind of what happened there was, it was very much a rejection of the old French ways of doing things. So that was a case where a country's fundamental ideas were kind of, for the most part, ripped out and replaced with new Enlightenment ideas. So, and obviously that one was quite bloody. But the American Revolution was kind of the same thing. It was these old world British values, basically, were usurped and replaced with these new enlightened values.
Yeah. Still with God, though.
And so, but like
in the Constitution.
Oh yeah, well in the God's in the Declaration of Independence, not in the Constitution, yeah. But so in France, because France is a good example because it's the same country. So that's a country where it did actually change its identity. It did have these old laws based on monarchy and divine right of kings and stuff. That got taken away and was replaced with all these new Enlightenment values. And obviously the Enlightenment values have their origin in probably Christian theology beforehand. But it was still such. I think that was such a big usurpation of the old ways that you could consider the France after the revolution to be a new country, and almost the French identity to be a new identity at that point, which is kind of what I was attempting to get at earlier, but I just didn't think of that example at the time.
Well, the French Revolution was a weird one specifically because they just wanted to be different in every way.
Yeah.
If you don't know anything about the French Revolution, they completely, the French invented the metric system, so we had inches and things before it weren't standardized, now we centimeters and things like that. But they also, like, in time zones, France should be in the same one as England, but they didn't like England, so they're like, no, I'm not going to be in that one. So France is an hour ahead of
they just changed
Greenwich Mean Time because they didn't want to be. They also tried to standardize how many days are in a year. They had like 100 days. No, was it 100 days?
I can't remember.
And it was like 10 hours in a day or something like that, and it just absolutely didn't work. 10 days in a week.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So they just wanted to be different. But I would also contest that even these new Enlightenment values would have fundamental roots in different religions, and they were I suppose a Christian country before that. Even still, like, I think you can definitely tell the countries that were based off different religious beliefs. So you're saying they all come back from paganism and stuff, but even the modern influence of, even if there were 1,000 years in the country, so like Spain is an interesting example, you know, because you can still see the Muslim influence in the
Especially
African
in South
countries.
Spain, yeah.
The African countries, you can definitely see the difference between like the law in Ireland and then like you know, Sharia law. Very very different. Like, and you can't
Because
really
we have
say
Breton law and our laws kind of come
so
out a little bit out of
if
that.
you're saying that they kind of come from the same root, because I suppose all the Abrahamic religions come from the same root.
Yeah.
But their belief systems and their laws are very different, even though they are from the same root. So Sharia law is extremely different.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Sharia law is it's an entire legal system, right? That was put into place. Whereas, like, as far as I know, the New Testament never really espouses an entire legal system. It's more like moral values and stuff. And then, like, a lot of the legal things that the Roman Catholic Church would have gotten were like just original Roman laws, you know. And obviously now there's a bit of back and forth there because Catholicism gave Rome some of its laws towards the end, and then Rome, you know. So there's a lot of confusion there and stuff. But yeah, if you look at Ireland as well, like a lot of our laws would be, or a lot of our culture is a mix of Catholicism, and you can still see that little Celtic pagan influence in it because it's different to how other Christian countries are, right? Spanish Catholicism is different to Irish Catholicism.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of because of the way our monks worked.
The way they worship.
And like it took a while to get paganism kind of out of here entirely. You can see that in Eastern Europe as well. Like, so like the Baltic states were the last place for that paganism went, really, and so their Christianity is a little bit different to the rest of it as well.
Yeah. Just remainders of everything everywhere.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think it's.
So that's
why I'm saying it's not fair to say that everything can just go.
You can reject it because it's so everything is built on.
You still see people where, like, with the Eye of Horus around their neck. You know what I mean? Like, and the Irish Celtic cross. That's the circle. If you don't know, the cross is there, and then the circle literally represents the sun, because the Irish were too thick. When the Christians came over, they're like, oh yeah, we got this cool lad, his name's Jesus. Here's all his beliefs. You know, it can really change your life, make it better. No, we like the sun because it grows things. Does Jesus grow things? And he's like, they were like, okay, listen, like, here's Jesus' cross, that's our symbol. There's the sun, it's your symbol. Put them together. Now you understand, kind of.
Yeah.
And then that's literally why it's there. People have that everywhere, and like even it obviously it influences everything, our architecture and our food and everything.
Yeah.
But I just don't think.
I suppose you're right. You were right that way, and I do agree with you that you can never fully reject everything, but that's just because it goes back 10,000 years. You know, you can never, because so every thought you ever have is influenced by the culture around you. I suppose, yeah. I guess if you immerse yourself in a different culture, that might actually change your thought patterns.
It'd take a lifetime to change.
Maybe if you're, I think if you're not conscious of it, it would take a lifetime. But if you're conscious of it,
your developmental stages even. Like,
if
you try to move to Japan, you just don't have the phonetics in your speech.
Yeah, and if you're there by the time after you're 25, like your brain is kind of fully formed at that stage. So.
Goddamn plasticity of the brain.
There you go. I think we went on a serious ramble there for about 20 minutes.
This is our longest one so far. Yeah, for sure.
Don't even know if people are going to be able to follow that last conversation because we were kind of just jumping all, or the last 20 minutes anyway, because we were jumping all over the place a lot. But.
Yeah, that was our paganistic social media.
Neo-pagan crusade social media. Yeah, right.
I'll tell you. Well, we might as well just top it off there, I suppose.
Top it off there. I don't know about you, Seamus, but I'm just waiting for the next pope to call a crusade.
Crusade on where?
Crusade. On social media. The social media crusade. The crusade against Zuck.
The Pope could call it a crusade. Nice crusade against
Zuck.
Just storm the Facebook offices and everything. Texas is just up and no, Texas not
DDoS Facebook.
Oh my god. Listen, right, sure, Pierce, at the end of the day it's night.
If you're sick you won't be well.
And if you're listening you're a martyr. I'll talk to you now. See you now.
See you boys and girls.